Hey, good afternoon. Scott, Luton, and Greg White with you right here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's live stream. Gregory, how are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I love, you raised the standard on colorful shirts as with your lavender or purple t-shirt today.
Thank you.
And I had to meet that standard. So I one-upped you with almost like Joseph's Technicolor coat here today. All the different colors I've got.
I feel like there might be a little purple in there. We're kind of coded today.
So, by the way, we've got a wonderful Halloween costume idea Amanda came up with. We'll wait till after the show to
Oh,
dive into
okay,
that.
great.
But hey, today is about the supply chain buzz, about some of the biggest stories, most important stories that you need to be tracking across global business. And
Yeah.
we offer the buzz up to you every Monday, 12 noon Eastern time. And today's show, Greg, is powered by our friends at OMNIA Partners, where they are reshaping the future of purchasing, aren't they?
Well, I think about this frequently ever since we have had our Arslanian on and some of their other folks that we've talked to. I think their slogan ought to be, why would you go it alone? Right? I mean, they're a group purchasing organization for anyone who doesn't know, but the power that presents, and not just negotiating power, but the opportunity to have additional vendors that you haven't found or thought of. I mean, there's just so much power in that. And thinking about where small businesses are today, it feels like it's the right time to get into these kind of communities to really start to, improve the results that your company can have. So many people are outsourcing or multi-sourcing or communalizing so many things. This just seems so sensible. I can't believe I'm
Agreed.
saying that, but it does. It seems so sensible, right?
Yes, agreed. We're gonna say hello to everybody momentarily. I want to bring Gary's remark in. Gary says, "Hey everyone, not used to seeing Greg on the left. What gives? I've been demoted, Gary. I have been demoted."
You are one of us when you notice that difference.
That's right, Gary. Hope this
Right.
finds you well, and great to have you
Well, I'm
here today.
left-handed, Gary, so we're trying something new. That's
That's
what we
right.
do.
All right, but we were talking about Omnia Partners a second ago, and they have got a big event coming up in September in Miami,
Yeah.
Connections 2021. So, Greg, get this. So, it's free to attend for supply chain and sourcing and purchasing leaders. They've got keynotes, expos, networking, you name it. 400 plus attendees is what they're expecting to have down in the Magic City. We're going to be broadcasting live on Monday, the 27th, and we're going to be knocking out several interviews down there while we're amongst the Connections 2021 community. So you can join us, though, September 27th through 29th in Miami, and you can learn more by checking out the link we've got in the show notes. You ready to head down to Miami, Florida?
Who's not ready for that? I mean, I feel like there ought to be a fourth bullet there. Learn, network, grow, Miami. Maybe you should start with Miami.
That's right. I love that.
Miami in September, okay, people. Miami
Well,
in September, and this huge collection of knowledge around procurement.
Omnia Partners are one of those groups that they're in the a short list of companies that really invest in content and facilitating those best practices,
Yeah.
kind of building a community. There's going to be tons of market intel and knowledge and expertise exchange down there, and that doesn't come cheap to be able to put on events like this. So big thumbs up to our friends at Omnia Partners. We're looking forward to being down there. As Greg says, learn, network, grow, Miami. So love that. We'll see you soon. Okay, let me share a couple other events that need to be on your radar. August 18th, we're partnering with our friends at Quip and Alloy. Learn about Quip's omnichannel evolution. We got Imran Patel. You're not going to want to miss it. Greg, one of Amanda Luton's favorite companies long before this webinar ever came about.
Yeah, and you can tell by her shiny teeth just how effective this device is. So Quip is an electric toothbrush that they started selling direct before they started selling into retail, and now they sell through all these retail channels. So it's a great juxtaposition. Let's just try that word on for size, Scott. Juxtaposition.
Better you
Nice,
than
right?
me.
Um, well, I mean, it's a great combination of traditional retail and e-commerce retail, direct to consumer. So there's a lot to learn here because there is a lot of that going on. Most companies seem to be coming from physical retail into e-com, or brands coming from even distribution into direct to consumer. And this is a great example of how all of that works together.
Agreed. Join us August 18th, 12 noon. The link to join is in the show notes. And finally, of course, Lars Cesari and the huge Supply Chain Insights Global Summit coming up in September. We are very proud to be the exclusive virtual provider of the digital feed of the event, but you got to register. And it's not an inexpensive event, but it's going to be jam-packed, 2.5 days, I believe, September 7th through the 9th. Learn more at the link that we've got in the show notes. All right. So, Greg, you ready to say hello to a few folks?
Let's do. There are a few folks out there, aren't there?
There are. Srinivas is back from India once again. He's
Never
always
not on, I noticed, over the weekend. So usually I'm not on LinkedIn so much over the weekend, but I noticed that he is out there.
And I want to pose a question to him.
Always learning, I think.
I think so. We want him to share it. So, Srinivas, from a supply chain standpoint, what's one big topic that's been on your mind, whether it's related to the Indian markets there, and of course we've heard some progress made from the COVID spikes from 45 days or so ago. But tell us what's the big practitioner issue that you're working through. We'd love to hear from you. Let's see here, Mustafa. Hey, he loves your purple T-shirt, Mustafa. I love that.
It's all in the lighting. It's pretty faded. I'm just.
Kelvin says hello from Zambia. Great to see you here, Kelvin. Look forward to your perspective being shared.
I love when we kind of add or re-up a country here and there. I mean, that is fantastic that there are so many people across Africa so engaged in global supply chain, right?
Agreed. Hey, Mustafa, afraid to start his own business. Hey, tune in to Tequila Sunrise. You get some of the best entrepreneurial leadership, founder advice ever. And where can they find Tequila Sunrise, Greg?
They can find it wherever they get their podcasts or on YouTube.
That's
and
right.
If you are just starting out, I'm just gonna pitch one episode: the 7 things you need to do to build a 3-minute pitch. And there's nothing like that makes you understand your business like having to communicate every aspect of it in 3 minutes. And it really doesn't matter whether it's a tech business or any other business. It really forces you to understand both what investors are looking for and what you need to know about your business to make it successful.
Love that. And it's okay to be scared. Use that as fuel. So thanks for joining us here today, Mustafa.
Yeah, if you're not scared, you're just plain crazy. You got to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur, maybe a lot crazy.
Right.
But you're just plain crazy if you're not scared.
Might be a bot if you're not scared.
Right.
Hey, Precious is tuned in via Nigeria. Great to have you here, Precious. Look forward to your perspective. Sushil is back with us via LinkedIn. Sushil, welcome back. Great to have you. Oh, Erin Smitak is back.
Wow,
Erin,
she's back.
it's been a long time. Great to have you back. Looking forward to hearing your perspective here today as we walk through 4 stories. And with that, that's a perfect segue, because with that, Greg, we're going to get to work. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's bring this back into the stream here. So, story number 1, Greg, we're talking about one of Greg's favorite topics, China. In particular, let's talk about the manufacturing industry in China.
Yeah.
So, Greg, according to this report via Reuters, manufacturing activity in China in July, well, it expanded, but at the slowest pace they've seen in the last 17 months. Analysts expected it to slow down from June to July, but the numbers came in lower than they had expected. So several factors they identified. Bad weather, as central China had record flooding in July. That's never good. Higher raw material costs, of course. Equipment maintenance and associated activities. Surging logistics costs, of course. And one other big signal stood out from the data. The new export order index was at its lowest level since July of 2020. So, Greg, when it comes to the manufacturing market in China and its activities, what are you tracking there?
Well, I think that we're seeing this globally, right? And China is seeing the impact of it. even at their relatively low labor rates, it was hard to get labor into the shop to work
Yep.
because of the flooding, and because of all the impacts that are hitting the rest of the supply chain. They're hitting China even at a greater order of magnitude, because China is still the largest producer of so many things in the world. It's natural to see that happen when you see global commerce kind of slowing because of all these cost factors. I think really this is a ripple effect of consumers um, recognizing that, at least in, I think it's like 21 states in the U.S., that they won't be continuing to get the um pandemic unemployment assistance, the federal government's extra $300 to $600 a week
Mm.
that were being sent to folks to stay home. And the clock is ticking in all of those states. Most of those states cease to accept that on June 1st. And then state unemployment kicked in, which only lasts for 8 weeks and has, of course, unlike pandemic unemployment, has the requirement that you actually search for a job. So, with so many jobs on the line, I feel like this is a temporary thing. It will come back because people will start getting back to work, and all of these logistics costs and the difficulty in completing maintenance and that sort of thing will start to come down. We'll start to loosen up, and we'll be able to get more work done.
Yep.
So I just think it's just a big impact on the world, and China is one of the biggest places you can impact in that regard.
Excellent. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let's keep tracking. I want to touch on this second issue. This is pretty cool. And I know this is one of the stories you dove in a little deeper
Yeah.
on LinkedIn.
Purely
earlier today.
coincidental, by the way. It's almost like a mind meld, Scott. I think we've done this 3 weeks in a row, right? Where you've picked something that wound up in my little daily paper, right?
We try very hard to keep up with you, Greg. It can be challenging. We're challenging on
I'm not
some
sure
days.
who's copying who. I may have copied you on this.
All right. So in story number 2 here, so talking tractors and related provisions, one of Greg's favorite words, in story number 2, as Tractor Supply Company is accelerating its investment in its supply chain infrastructure. So according to Edwin Lopez over at Supply Chain Dive, one of our favorite publications, the growing company plans to add 3 new distribution centers to its network over the next 5 years. So by that time, once they add 3 more, they'll be at 11 distribution centers. The first of these 3 new ones, though, is already under construction. They broke ground in Navarre, Ohio. I think it's how that's said, Navarre, Navarre, Ohio. Greg, any ideas of why they chose that part of the country?
Well, I'm guessing Ohio has a really strong workforce, right? I don't mean physically strong physical workforce, but there are a lot of people who are good with distribution and manufacturing and all those sorts of things in that part of the country.
Yep.
Am I right?
Workforce talent and logistics efficiencies.
Yeah.
Ohio is also known for its logistics environment and network. No word yet on where they're going to break ground on other 2 sites. This is part of a planned $2.5 billion with a B, as in Bezos, in capital expenses over the next 5 years. But they're making the investment earlier, which is a big reason why it's a story here today. So the goal, they say they want to provide 1-day delivery to 99% of their customers while improving profitability.
Mm-hmm.
Tractor Supply Company has also, Greg, been opening a lot more stores to take advantage of BOPUS activity, one of our favorite acronyms around here. So, Greg, I'll tell you, old Colin Yankee and the team are showing how it gets done. Am I right?
They are, and this is not new for Tractor Supply. They have been a strong logistics supply chain organization for a long, long time. I mean, I did business with them ages ago, long time ago. I don't remember exactly when, but I remember they had those little characters in their commercials back then. So, which still I think are some of the greatest commercials ever. But now they're not, and they were just sort of a big farm and fleet store, meaning in farming and around farming communities and that sort of thing. And now there's one up the street from me, not near any farming whatsoever. They have become like an Ace Hardware or even a smaller Home Depot with some additional other things that you don't get. I mean, imagine being able to go someplace where you can get the stuff you want to use to work on in your backyard or your garden, and dog food.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like that. So it's a great concept. It apparently is working in retail or in urban areas, or relatively urban areas, at least suburban. In addition to the urban or the rural areas, man, wake this guy up. In addition to the rural areas that they've always been in,
Right.
And how about Colin Yankee? Is that not the most ironic name for a guy who lives in Nashville?
Well, we were talking about Colin Powell last week.
Yeah.
And you're right. It is Colin Yankee, not Colin. My apologies, Colin. But,
Colin, not as ironic as Yankee.
Right.
In Nashville.
And we've had a couple of great interviews with Colin,
Yeah.
one just a couple months ago. So we'll have to do a check-in with him and hear it kind of from the horse's mouth about what's going on behind some of these press releases. But it's exciting. I love the acceleration. I love how they're leveraging their stores in a modern day retail way, and as part of their overall supply chain plan. So a lot of good news coming out from Tractor Supply Company. Now,
yeah.
let's say hello to a few of the folks that have joined us since. Manju tuned in via LinkedIn from Nova Scotia. Great to have you here.
Nova Scotia, where it's already winter, I think.
Hey, that sounds great to me. It was pretty hot this weekend down in our neck of the woods.
We're going to get some relief in the next couple of days, but you're right. It was 97 degrees and 91% humidity in Atlanta.
Stay tuned for weather on the top of the hour right here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Over here, we got
John Buglino.
High pressure center.
That jet stream just keeps on coming. John Buglino from Optessa is with us via LinkedIn. Great to see you, John. Hope this finds you well. He's got a little purple. Maybe today is just Purple Monday. Great to see you, John. Aaron Smitak was talking about, who other countries are handing out money like the U.S. One of your favorite topics, Greg, but we won't. We'll save.
There was a time and a place for it, right? But that time and place is long since passed. With millions of jobs open, right?
Yes.
Enough said.
And speaking of millions of jobs open in supply chain, where Manju is starting her career in supply chain. So congrats. Manju, tell us.
You're looking in the States because there's a job for you.
Tell us, if you like, what you're doing as you start your career in supply chain. We'd love to learn more from where you are there in Nova Scotia. Catalina is tuned in via Columbia and LinkedIn. Great to see you, Catalina.
Yeah, welcome back.
Let's see here. Oh, you know who's back with us, right? Mohib.
Simon? Oh, Mohib. Oh,
Mohib is back with us. Great to see you.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the shout out this weekend, by the way, Mohib. I appreciate the nudge there.
Where's your name tag?
Oh, my gosh, where is it? I've been moving stuff around in here, and it's on the wrong shelf, I can tell already.
Mervin tuned in from Dublin. Great to see you, Mervin. Hope this finds you well. Dr. Vias is back with us. Simon is back. He's got a new headshot. Simon, how you doing? I like the new headshot, my friend. He's smiling in this one. He wasn't smiling in that last one.
He was not. Hey, life is better.
Life is better. All right, so let's move right along to the next story here today. Let's see here. Now, Greg, you know that we like our lists around here, right? Especially Amanda loves a good list. She loves writing down a good list. So Industry Week recently rolled out its 2021 50 Best U.S. Manufacturers list. So I want to share a little background first, and then we'll talk about some of the companies. So the top 50 list, Greg, comes out of their annual top 500 publicly held U.S. manufacturing company list, right? The factors for these rankings include revenue growth, inventory turns, profit margin, asset turnover, return on assets, and return on equity. It's a 3-year review, but the current year is weighted the most. I think it's weighted like 50%. The number one company on the list this year is BWX Technologies, the pride of Lynchburg, Virginia. Now, on a cool little sidebar here, Rick McDonald and our friends at Clorox come in at number 6. So I know you love a good list, and I'm not sure if you've seen the full top 50, but any thoughts that you saw?
I'm curious what the heck it is that BWX does. That's what I can't figure out. So
Are you
I didn't
Googling
have
right
it.
now?
I'm doing it right now. Yeah. So, Nuclear Operations Group. So they have a nuclear operations group. Yep. Nuclear components and fuel to the U.S. government.
How about that?
So hopefully, hopefully we are building power plants, not the alternative. Iran will have something to say about that if we are building the alternative, I'm sure.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. I really like the way that they attack the ranking. Right, it sounds very Laura Cesari-esque in terms of how efficient and effective they are in and around supply chain. I mean, they're not just saying best quality, but they're also talking about how effectively they turn over their inventory, their profit margins, and return on assets and things like that. So those are good measures of an effective manufacturer.
Agreed. And speaking of Laura Cesari, we're going to be having 3 executives from the Supply Chains We Admire list, which is great research that Laura and the team puts out each year, speaking at the conference in September at the Global Summit. Let's see if Amanda or Jada or Clay, if we can drop the link to the Supply Chains We Admire research in the comments. That'd be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And big thanks to Clay and Amanda and Jada behind the scenes today, helping us to make the buzz happen. Okay, so Greg, look here. Manju's responding. So she's starting her internship with Graybar.
Oh, with Graybar. Wow. Also a good supply chain organization. I mean, did business with them way back when, more than 2 decades ago. So really, seriously powerful team there.
Yes. She's got 16 plus years in the IT business development space. So now she's applying that to the worldwide supply chain market. I love that, Manju. Congrats.
Yeah. That reminds me of when we were in Austin a couple of Novembers ago, right? And we just saw, it was like that show. We saw so many people. It was a Reuters show, I think. We saw so many people that had come to supply chain from physics and mathematics, and I don't even remember what all, but that diversity of knowledge is so powerful, and I think it continues to upskill the practice.
Agreed.
The craft. That's what I'm supposed to call it.
That's true. Well, hey, best of luck, Manju. Look forward to putting our finger on the pulse and seeing how it goes. So Simon, back to the story, and we're talking about the Industry Week 50 Best U.S. Manufacturers list. He says, I guess sustainability is not high on the top 50 assessment then. They didn't, from the story itself, they didn't spell that out as one of the key factors. So I don't know.
He may be speaking of nuclear.
Right.
Specifically, right.
And Precious says, Simon Joner, I think so too. And sustainability is key. We agree with you, Precious. We agree.
That's true.
Okay. So, Greg, man, we're rolling through these stories very
like
quickly today. Yes. So, this last story, this is kind of this may be in your blind spot. A little bit of this was certainly in my blind spot. So, as reported by CNBC, a big acquisition recently closed in the last few days, powered by the growing BNPL market. Perhaps, Greg, a new acronym for some folks around here. Buy now, pay later, BNPL. Right. Certainly not a new approach by any means, but this deal. So Jack Dorsey's Square company will be acquiring the Australian fintech company Afterpay. Now, Greg, Afterpay offers its 16 million customers, the ability to pay for their items in 4 interest-free installments. So get this. The market that it serves, the market these platforms play in, the BNPL technology and platform market, well, that was valued at $7.3 billion in 2019, and it's expected to grow to $33.6 billion in 2027. Lots of players already in the market, in this niche market. Affirm, PayPal, MasterCard, Fiserv, some of those. Mm-hmm. Apple is getting into this space here. They're going to be launching an installment lending program with Goldman Sachs in the months ahead. Now, here's some perhaps surprising information for you. So according to payments.com, and that's kind of abbreviated, it's PYMNTS.com. I only know how to pronounce it if it was payments.
Right.
More than 26% of millennials and nearly 11% of Gen Z consumers had tapped BNPL to finance their most recent online purchases, compared to only 7.5% of older generations who had done the same. One BNPL doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it?
No.
Industry executive says that most of their customers, and referring to these numbers, own a credit card, but prefer to use it only for emergency expenses and want more flexibility with their standard monthly expenses. So, Greg, I would say what's old is new again, but I do find these shifting, whatever we're calling it these days, the shifting retail dynamics to be really intriguing. Your take?
I think it's trouble. Yeah, I mean, if you can pay for, I get why you would, of course. The incentive is incredible. If it's no interest and you can pay over 4 months or some other period of time rather than all at once, why would you not? I mean, all the economics would say that you should, right? My concern is, and I've seen this as more than a slight cultural trend for these generations, is that because there are many who don't manage their money very well, they've only got enough to pay for a quarter of it right now, and they're hoping they'll have enough to pay for a quarter of it down the road 3 other times. And that is a recipe for disaster, right? So I don't know, honestly, I don't know how these companies make money if they're not charging interest. Is there a fee? Is there a fee to the seller? Because that seems demotivational. Is there a fee to the user? It doesn't say so, does it? So it doesn't seem like there is. And I haven't studied it much, but I don't know about this. Remember layaway? When you say that which is old is new again.
Yes.
Right? Remember layaway? But in layaway, you didn't get it till you paid for all of it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So the motivation was definitely there to pay it off or risk your own money by having paid and then not paying it off.
Right. Yeah, it will be interesting to see all that the BNPL model applies to, right? And any supply chain ramifications. So we'll see. We're going to keep our finger on the pulse. Clearly,
economic ramifications too, right? I mean, I think this is just free debt, is arguably free debt, right? But it is nonetheless debt. You know, it's funny because you just made me think of something, and that was, I don't know, it was one of my supply chain commentaries where we were talking about new ways of retailers and shippers paying for goods, and how that wasn't being treated as a debt on the balance sheet, and yet was overburdening these companies with debt, even though the vendors were paid, but the companies that were paying them were not yet. So you'd have to, I mean, I see something very similar. It doesn't look like debt on the balance sheet of a human being, but it is nonetheless debt.
Agreed. We're gonna keep, clearly this is a growing sector, right? And you can tell just by some of the names that are getting into and now are leveraging their customers and giving them one more program, to increase that stickiness. So we'll see how it plays out. But where my brain went to when I read this,
tell me,
and BNPL, it takes me back to 1996. And in 1996, I had separated from the Air Force my first go-around because I got a scholarship, right? So I was going to college for the first time, and you had to have, those necessary things you have to have in college, textbooks and pencils and adult beverages and stereo systems. So
right. Exactly.
I'm walking through as a 20-year-old, I guess, walking through a now bankrupt department store. and I see one of these newfangled 3D, 3-disc stereo systems, right?
Oh yeah.
And this is, in fact, I was able to Google and find just about the exact thing that I purchased at this retailer, and only 277 payments later, it was all mine. It was all mine. I can't imagine the interest I paid on this thing. But, as I thought about this, and it almost looked exactly like this, but I was thinking about, that urge I had as a young consumer to get access to that credit and then apply it. And I made a lot of bad decisions, right? And it's really cool to kind of put that perspective around how the folks that are tapping into BNPL, and interest free, I wish we had maybe kind of a new take on access to debt back when I was bebopping through that Sears. But hey, the concept's been around quite a while, and we'll see what's powering this niche sector.
I may buy an item on Affirm is the one I see most prominently advertised, and also I refuse to give any more money to Jack Dorsey. I think owning two deca-billion-dollar companies is sufficient, don't you?
Right.
But I might try it, because my suspicion is, as you were talking there, as it often was with other financing schemes in the past, in the 80s and 90s, was that you paid more for the product.
Right.
And I wonder if the price doesn't go up just enough to cover the convenience of the payments. And also I think about the usual argument for spreading out payments, even without interest, is the ability to make money on that cash. And I wonder if people are really doing that. If you're not making money on that cash, then you are paying only slightly less, because a week or a month or whatever later, even inflation hasn't significantly impacted the value of your money yet. So it's not like you're paying with tremendously less valuable dollars. So, and it's a very short time frame in which it would be very risky to make a significant amount of money on the free cash that you didn't spend. So I'm not sure what the real attraction there is. I don't think there's let me preface this with, I am not an economist, and I can show you the grades in my college classes in economics to prove it. But just the base economics don't seem to bear out. It seems more like a convenience or a cash management thing. And cash management, because you don't have the cash, is always a dangerous and slippery slope.
Yeah. And well, as Mohib says here, it's debt for consumer and account receivables for the company. It's great for both parties at first glance, but risk and reward have to be well calculated and monitored so it does not get out of hand. Excellent point there. And then, hey, Manju, I'm glad you can relate to my the $300 sound system that I probably ended up paying $1,200 for.
You and half the planet, right? Yeah. I mean, it feels like it. That's a big thing in South America. When I was doing a lot of business in South America, we saw frequently you could buy a table and chairs and finance it, and it wasn't effective. You'd go on payments, and well, let's just put it this way: the interest rate that they charged is illegal in the United States of America. Wow. And several of those companies that were doing that were brought under extreme scrutiny by the governments of their respective countries in South America. So there is something wicked this way comes,
right,
in my opinion.
Well, so Precious says, I think teaching children financial management early would help in preventing future generations from walking that path, because this is so relatable. I agree with you, Precious. And, not too long ago, a few weeks back, I saw a commercial for Go Henry. And it was it's a neat platform where you don't give your children a credit card, but you're able to enable with restrictions certain e-commerce, and you can control how much, basically you can give them their allowance and digitally, and let them with controls apply that to different e-commerce decisions and spending decisions and whatnot. I think it's pretty cool. I have not enrolled, and by the way, GoHenry is not a sponsor at all here at Supply Chain Now. But
well,
I
so
like
to prove that, let me highlight another. There's a company based here in Atlanta called Greenlight, and it's precisely that. It's a debit card for kids that also teaches them financial responsibility, as well as enabling reasonable and rational spending. I think when you're doing this kind of thing,
Yep.
it's responsible to say, what else could you do with the money, right? And I think a vehicle or a card or whatever it is that says, hey, here are the economics of the decision you're making. Here's what else you could be doing with the money.
Yep.
So,
agreed. And Mohib says A graders work for B graders in a company owned by C graders, financed by D graders. Oh, I love that. How true. How true. Well, Greg, we were so efficient getting through our stories here today. And I think it's here at the start of a month. Sometimes the live streams at the very start of the month, everybody's wrapping up the previous month or planning the current month. But what else, since we have a little extra time, what else is on your radar, or what's a good question you want to throw out there to our folks in the skyboxes, the cheap seats? Well, you name it. What's on your mind, Greg, this morning? That's a very dangerous question, but what is it?
Well, it's a very mundane answer, as you would not expect. And that is being an empty nester and no longer having to worry about these things. I'm fascinated by what the impact of back to school has been. Now, it hasn't started everywhere, but Scott, I think your kids went back today or go back tomorrow. Is that correct?
That's right. Tomorrow, bright and early.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I've seen in the news, and this is as regards supply chain, but I'm really interested more in how it's impacting individuals, consumers, whatever we want to call ourselves. But one of the things I've seen recently is that because of the hiccups in the supply chain, that there may be no peak season in the States. And peak season traditionally starts, though we think of it as kind of the Thanksgiving to Christmas holidays and New Year's, until return season on December 26th, Boxing Day in Canada. I've never seen a match, not one, on the 26th of December in Canada. It's a whole different kind of boxing. But what is not commonly known in retail is that the back to school typically kind of starts the peak season, and it is a peak for certain businesses in and of itself, because you sell a lot of dorm fridges and backpacks and pencils, or whatever kids used to write these days, if kids even write these days. They quit teaching cursive so long ago. I'm not sure that it's even worth it for kids to write. But, laptops and who knows what, right? New shoes and whatever else. So I'm really interested in that dynamic. And if it is, and maybe you, and maybe we can bring on Amanda, or maybe you can speak to what kind of a upheaval or impact it's having on your household right now.
That is a great question. Let me see in the green room if Amanda gives us the thumbs up or the thumbs down for joining us. Amanda, would you like to speak to some of the upheaval? Okay.
All right.
Well, let's swoosh Amanda Luton into the stream. Hey, Amanda, man, on the spot. How you doing?
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, completely unplanned, but yeah, you could hear all that, right, Amanda? So, oh wait, you're muted, of course.
Of course I am. See, I'm totally unprepared. I'm used to being behind the scenes. Yes, I can hear everything now.
Well, so go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. Give us an idea of what's going on in your household with back to school. And
yeah, so what I was actually in the middle of typing before y'all invited me live, which is kind of unique for our school system. Walton County Schools in Georgia has actually taken their federal dollars and all of the money, the relief dollars and everything that's been provided by the government, and have purchased school supplies for every single student throughout the whole county. Also taken, I'm not sure of the exact government agency, but whatever money that they were provided also to pay for lunches and breakfast, the food for kids, they've provided enough money so that all kids can have free breakfast and lunches at school every single day throughout the whole school year. So
wow.
I mean, isn't that amazing?
Which, by the way, our 3 kids, I haven't seen them celebrate.
Love school lunch.
They love school lunch? Really?
Yes.
They love it. I mean, I guess that speaks to how quickly and effortlessly I put together their school lunches. I just throw a couple things in their lunches, but they love getting school lunch. So that's like a huge deal in our household. But the amount of stress and pressure that the school supplies being provided and the breakfast and lunch being provided has taken enormous pressure, off of my shoulders in particular, but our shoulders as a household, because that stuff gets expensive,
Right. Well,
Yeah,
this year.
And it's a crush to get all of that stuff bought, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, and we have 3 kids, I
Right.
think about it all the time. I have friends that have 4 and 5 children. And you're paying for not only for pens and pencils and stuff, but especially this year, Clorox wipes, hand sanitizer. We were providing it a lot in the past, but particularly this year. And luckily, we've kind of, every time we see it in the store, we pick some up. So we've been stockpiling it for a long time, thinking that when they go back to school, we'll have to provide more. But, depending on where you are, different locations, there can be, that stuff can be sold out still at this point in time. But
So you made me think that's really interesting. And wow, I wish, and I bet a lot of people right now wish they were as prepared as you, getting stuff way ahead of the season.
yeah.
And knowing that you're a prepared parent as regards the holiday without giving away any secrets, like what the gift is. Because you're kind of tuned into what's going on in supply chain, and I think we can largely expect there to be great shortages of things for the holidays. Are you planning ahead for that as well?
I plan more than Scott does. Scott's a Christmas Eve shopper, but I definitely.
Yeah, we're going to be screwed this year, Scott.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve is today.
Not usually, but typically, I don't plan too far. I start shopping after Thanksgiving. I like to give myself a little bit of time, but not a ton. But this year, I've already asked the kids to start their Christmas lists, getting some ideas, looking on Amazon, looking on, the Walmart website, looking on, specific stores in particular, doing a little bit of shopping in person already, which, typically, like I said, I don't start shopping till November, and I'm already starting now, just anticipating those delays. I don't like it, but I think we're going to have to. Especially like with our kids, you can't just say, I want Barbies this year, or I want Legos. Bennett picks out the very specific set of Legos, that he wants. And, the girls have very specific ideas in mind. So it's not like I could just go out and pick out a Barbie and, and just be fine with it. They're kind of picky. So I'm having to ask what ask what they want now, seek it out. And
our kids,
a lot of times just go ahead and get it now.
Our kids believe in very active feedback cycles. Very, very active.
I've experienced that. Yes.
So, I'm glad, Greg. I appreciate that this is on your mind, and it's neat to hear Amanda's perspective as school and holidays. And clearly, I don't have a stat handy, but it's really interesting. The females in the family have the purchasing power. Amanda's one making all of those decisions.
Sure.
I've seen some procurement statistics not too long ago, maybe from Kelly Barner around that, but it just kind of hit me right now, Amanda. You're the one making a ton of whether it's retail or other consumer decisions.
Yeah, that's for sure. honestly, I don't know why that's not focused on more, because not only is it school supplies, but it's our weekly lunches or our weekly, grocery shopping. I'm the one that makes all of those purchases. Any school clothes or any clothes in general, I make those, I'm kind of in control of those purchases. Yeah. So that's interesting to think about. And I think
I think there are retailers that are aware of that you, Amanda, and other women in families typically make the plans and purchases and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you've seen any of this in the, some of the preparatory shopping that you've been doing. I wonder if you see that retailers are prepared for this early surge of shopping, which I think you're an exceptional planner, and maybe it won't be like a big impact on, by consumers, but some people are going to see this and go, hey, I hadn't thought of that. Right. And I wonder if you think that retailers are prepared for an early surge of shopping with consumers being ever more aware of the supply chain impact on availability and availability.
Yeah. If my in-store shopping experience over the summer has been any indication, they are horribly unprepared. I've been in several stores, and we've been our kids' birthdays are during the summertime, and so we've been shopping for clothes, all throughout the summer and different things here and there. And there's a couple of stores in particular that we go in, and the shelves are just vacant. And you would
really,
yes, and it's frustrating because I'm trying to shop in person. I don't want to do all of my shopping online, especially with, like I said, picky girls in particular, looking for clothes and just accessories in general. But there are just some empty shelves, and it definitely makes me nervous, and it turns me to e-commerce, even more, because I know that I can find what we're looking for. This could go into a whole bunch of different directions as far as reverse logistics and returning things and all of that stuff too. But it makes me nervous. And once I see empty shelves, I start not going back to those stores because it takes a lot of my time, to get the kids out, to go out to the stores where I don't have to leave the house to shop online, and I can, it's a much easier purchase for me, for busy moms in general. But man, I think it's going to be rough. I think it's really going to be rough.
So let me share a tool here and I think if I said it wrong, please let us know how we say it right. A tool says, great question on school supplies. Any stats on overall uptick on cost and spend by school administration on increasing the budget to meet that uptick? Now, really quick, I did some Googling, very dangerous sometimes, but the United States Census Bureau released data in May that public school spending per pupil increases by the largest amount in 11 years here in the U.S. 11 years. So there's more information. We'll try to drop this into the comments, but a great question. And a tool also says we see construction costs up by 30% due to commodity price and supply chain issues. Is that happening in other sectors? I would say absolutely. Greg, your thoughts?
So I read a report that lumber prices in particular, specifically, are back down to their normal levels. Maybe at the plant or mill level, but I haven't seen them quite come back to normal levels in store. But I think it will start happening. So this is a dynamic we discussed earlier on the show. It seems like this show's been going really long, Scott. But
I got an eye on the time. We're good.
But now that people, because certain states are not taking the federal unemployment assistance anymore, the clock started ticking, and these people will have to get back to work, which means production will come up, and in many cases, this is a strange irony here, the employed will soon be earning less than they were as the unemployed because of the federal unemployment assistance, and their budget for spending will go down. So I think we'll start to see equilibrium later this month. Let me just preface this with with this statement one more time, and that is, I am not an economist, but it does seem to make sense. People are getting back to work. They have less time to spend. Their kids are getting back to school. Those activities start. In many cases, I cannot remember what the percentage is, but it was a huge percentage of people on pandemic unemployment assistance. Their pay will actually go down after they're not working or not working for the government. So I think we'll start to see demand start to balance out from that standpoint and bring some of the prices down on some of that incremental spending, things like building houses, buying RVs, boats.
Right.
But if, as Amanda says, and I think it's, you heard it here first. Just remember, you heard it here first from Amanda Luton, that shoppers are shopping earlier to get what they want so they don't run out. I mean, think about when we have the toy of the year, right? And everyone buys it early and then starts selling it on eBay. This year, you're going to have to buy it early just to be able to get it for your own kids, not even hoard it
Absolutely
to be able to be a profiteer on it, right?
Look what Ziggy says here. We're talking about other cost increases. And Ziggy, great to have you back via LinkedIn. In the lubricants industry, 30% is minimum on the increases due to supply chain material challenges.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Also, Jenny Froome is with us. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Leader of SAPIX. Says, isn't that just supply chain, though? So many different things making up the end result. And Jenny says, great to hear you, Amanda. So great to have you with us, Jenny. You know, Jenny and I just knocked out an interview not too long ago, Greg and Amanda, with Ashish, co-founder and CEO with a group called BankU. Yeah, wonderful. I'll tell you what, if we hooked up Ashish to the power grid, I think we would address much of our infrastructure. He's got that much energy and just charisma and passion. And the whole BankU, I won't go into it, but the whole name came
I love
from,
that story.
Yeah, it came from.
Yeah, I saw his story on a post from him on LinkedIn or something like that.
Yeah, it's great. It came from a financial banker saying, hey, I can't allow you to have an account, but I can bank you, pointing to Sheesh. So Jenny, looking forward to releasing that here this week. But back to the topic at hand, and Amanda, we'll wrap with you first, and then we'll wrap up the buzz here today. What's one other piece of advice, maybe, or observation, that you would like to share as we get into, we're in the back to school mode, a lot really early here in Georgia, especially compared to other parts of the world.
Gosh, another bit of advice, or I'm not sure. You know, one thing I have noticed too is increase, and like I said, I do all of our food shopping and everything. I've noticed increases in food prices, even at my bargain basement stores that I like to shop.
Like Lidl and Aldi. I mean, do you go to those stores?
We shop from Aldi. I was an Instacart enthusiast before the pandemic, and matter of fact, I'm placing I was in the middle of placing my Instacart order for our.
Sorry to interrupt your shopping. But we need peanut butter. Would you mind?
Hey, I'm a multitasker, right? But I've noticed prices going up. I've noticed lots of outages in the stores. But the key to shopping, I think, for our family is just flexibility. Is making sure that we have lots of making sure that everybody is open to lots of different options. Luckily, we have lots of shopping options in our area. Instacart will pick up and deliver from just about everybody around us, but it's taking extra work, and it's taking extra time to plan and to think about it. We meal plan all week long, and it's just taking a little bit extra time. And I'm trying also to be really patient with those retail workers, those people that are placing deliveries, and giving lots of grace, because I know that they are working super hard. Matter of fact, we placed a pizza delivery order last week that they had to then call me to say that they don't have enough delivery drivers, and they had to cancel our order. And so I'm trying to be very thankful and very appreciative for the people that are working right now, and the people that are probably dealing with a lot of personalities and a lot of different things right now.
So
I have a feeling we're not getting a lot of empathy from some of our listeners, viewers around the world. I mean, seriously, these are seriously not just
first world problems. Yes, for sure.
first world problems, but they are U.S. problems. I mean,
Yeah.
the level of service that we have come to expect in the States is unbelievable, and it is significantly compromised right now. And I got to tell you, in the same moment that I'm so irritated by the fact that it took them 10 extra minutes or 5 extra minutes, whatever, to get to our table at the restaurant we went to Friday night, I'm like, wait, we're at a restaurant. We're not making our own food.
Isn't that the truth? Well, and it's one.
Or we're not foraging for it, right? I mean,
yeah, and it's one thing to expect a level of service, because I think we've gotten used to a high level of customer service, but we need to appreciate it. We need to be thankful for it, and we need to be grateful to the people that are providing it. So I think that's where I am right now.
No truer words have ever been spoken than what the great freight sage logic.
Yeah, no kidding. So my brother who came to visit this weekend, was quoting an article or something that said America is 5 missed meals away from anarchy. It's even fewer missed pizzas
Right.
away from anarchy.
But Jenny also says the restaurants
Absolutely.
are open. That's to be grateful for. I agree with
Especially
you.
in South Africa. It is
right.
very...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, Amanda, we're going to swoosh you back out. Thanks so much for popping into the stream
thank
and
you.
sharing
Hey,
some of
thanks
your
for
POV
inviting me.
here
It was
today.
fun.
Yep. We'll see you here in just a moment.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Hey, one other thing I wanted to share with you, Greg,
Yes.
before we wrap. So the National Retail Federation, NRF, our friends over there, John Gold and the team, they estimate, according to this NPR report, that families will be spending an average of $849 on back to school. That's $60 more than last year.
Wow.
And it's supposed to be the back to school shopping overall is supposed to set a record this year, a whopping $37 billion. And of course, the entire industry's got their finger on the pulse of back to school as an overall economic indicator. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see where the tallies land.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did a lot of business with Staples back in the day, pre-2000, and back when they used to matter, and not just matter, I mean, they were the go-to place for back to school, and they had an entire logistics strategy around getting back to school goods, staging them in an economically appropriate way, and being available for back to school in the various regions. And it's no small logistics challenge, because the demand uplift for back to school is so dramatic, even more dramatic than the Thanksgiving Christmas holidays in the States. So it was a nightmare, frankly.
Well, we're going to have to draw some of those stories out from you in a later episode. But really have enjoyed today's buzz. I enjoyed chatting through with you these 4 stories. Then, of course, surprisingly, bringing on Amanda to talk about back to school and
That was
sharing
huge.
some of the experiences there. It is.
Here's the lesson there. Everyone in supply chain needs to get the lesson there. You are not predicting the items. You are predicting Amanda Luton. And in all seriousness, I mean, in supply chain, we have to recognize that we are not predicting the items. We are predicting the consumer, right? And the consumer is going to do something, and clearly is doing something different already. And that's why we have to bridge this gap from understanding what the item is doing, and instead understand what the consumer is doing and what is motivating them to buy what or return what. And that is when we will have a quantum leap in terms of effectiveness in supply chain.
Right. Real agility when we start doing that and acting on that very consistently. Hey, Kim Winter, appreciate your comments here. It was his evening meal entertainment.
Wow, I'm sorry. Sorry, Kim.
Huge food security movement here at the UAE. The government self-sustainability is a target. So look forward to learning more about that. Kim and I were on a Veteran Voices episode recording last week that we look forward to releasing soon with Mark Ormrod. A lot of powerful story there. But Kim, hope this finds you well, and great to see you here today. Precious says, hey, so a lot of what Amanda spoke to, it's not just a U.S. thing. she's
Interesting.
experiencing some of the same in Nigeria. It's great to hear. Precious. Okay, so I want to wrap. Just one friendly reminder. Folks, be sure to check out OMNIA Partners Connections 2021. As Greg said, learn, network, grow, Miami. September 27th through the 29th. We'll be there in person. Looking forward to broadcast live on that first day and then some subsequent follow-up conversations. It's free to attend if you're a supply chain sourcing and procurement leader. So y'all check that out. The link is in the comments. Okay, Greg, I feel like you've shared your top thing to keep in mind from some of the discussion here today. Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap?
Big thanks to Amanda for coming on like with absolutely no notice and sharing that. That was a fantastic insight. I really think that is powerful stuff. That connection to those people that are making the decisions to make the purchase is what drives supply chain. The consumer is the beginning and the end of the supply chain.
Love that. And also I loved her take on, we got to hug on the retail and the service industry folks. They're thankfully starting here in the States, at least getting back into the ability to make a living, after, being shut down for so long. So gotta be extra considerate and patient and whatnot, even if you don't feel like it on those, after the daily commute or what have you, or the stresses of the day.
Or when the French fries show up late.
Right. But hey, to all of our friends that showed up across the world, really, from Kim and Jenny, is it Gaurav?
Gaurav, yeah.
Gaurav. Sorry, my apologies. I need another cup of coffee on that one. Gaurav, great to have you back via LinkedIn. You have to go back and check out some of our conversations here today. Precious, really appreciate your comments from your perspective there in Nigeria and so many others. Mohib, of course, in Wichita, the air capital of the world. Always a pleasure to have Mohib join us. But folks, take a page out of Amanda's book there. And the most important thing you can hear today, I think, at least act on today, on behalf of our entire team, hey, do good, give forward, be the change that's needed, put it in your actions, make it happen. And with that said, we'll see you next time right back here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.